Within 4 months, she'd been through 4 teachers, a complete turnover of room helpers, frequently at odds with the bus staff, constant anxiety, urinating in her clothes. The driver had insisted that Jess get off the bus, and then the driver just left her there. Nobody ever called to talk to me about it. Nobody ever acknowledged it. I was extremely concerned. The time for me to give up had come. Hey everybody, it's Val, Jessica's mom. I am going to continue my story that I've been telling. I am going to basically be referencing my computer. I'm going to be sort of reading some of it. I wanted to say that that's there. 17 years of advocating in the public education arena, 4 years of college to obtain a bachelor's of science in nursing, 5 years of practicing nursing, 2 years of waiting on a waiver, 5 months of waiting to start the new school, and 1 day to derail all of it. And that 1 day was when the teacher put her hands in Jessica's pants pocket to take her phone out, to take it away from her. That was basically the beginning of the end. I knew it, but I'm a fighter. I don't give up, so I kept trying to help Jessica regain some sense of security. I resigned from my job. I had another job lined up, but it was 2 months away. So I had 8 weeks to spend at home with her. My main goal during those 8 weeks was to be available to help with the school so that together we could make it work. So I made myself available. I let them know I'm here as a resource. Ask me questions, email me, call me. I can come over. I can meet with you. I can come to the classroom. So exactly 1 week after I resigned from my job, I heard from a teacher for the first time since Jessica started to the school. Up until that point, I had not been invited to the school. I hadn't been asked for help in any way or form. And I got the following email. We had a very unexpected and unsettling situation this morning. While in the gym, Jessica hit a peer several times on her back with her cane. They were seated a few chairs apart, and unprovoked, Jessica hit her. Jessica was brought back to the room, and I talked with her. I explained that she could not hit classmates. I asked her to apologize to the classmate that she hit, and she said, "I will not do that. I will not apologize to her until I talk to my mother." I have familiarized myself with protocols for Jessica, and I don't see where physical aggression is addressed. She cried for the most part up until lunchtime. She did not eat any of her lunch today, but did drink her water. Sandwiches, fruit, and a vegetable salad was what was served. Let me know what you suggest to do in these instances. All help will be greatly appreciated. First of all, I really appreciated the communication. As a parent, these were my inner questions. Why didn't a teacher call me when that happened? Like, why didn't somebody call me and tell me that happened? Why didn't they let Jessica call me when she wanted to? Did it occur to anyone? If they had let her call me, I could have comforted her and settled her down. Why didn't they know? Jessica doesn't eat sandwiches and salads. Never ever, because it is one of the things we discussed in detail in our planning meetings. They have a cafeteria with lots of options, so why was her only choice a sandwich and a salad? I've moved outside because Jessica got back home, and I really don't want her to hear me reviewing some of these things that happened because it was so traumatic for her, and I don't want to get that stirred back up. Even though I felt bewildered by the content of the email, I was still glad she reached out to me because it was something that hadn't happened so far, and I took it as a positive sign that somebody wanted to understand better and make it work better. And so I approached my answers as if they knew nothing about her, they being everybody at the school, even though we had given them all this information already. I also talked about food preferences and asked why wasn't she able to eat from the cafeteria, because that was a big draw when we were looking at the facility, was the coolness of being able to go to this food court and pick out her lunch every day that she was there. And It turned out that it wasn't open. They weren't running it. Therefore, every day it was soup and sandwiches. I mean, sandwiches and salad. That was her option every day. So she hadn't been eating at school because she doesn't eat those things. And nobody had bothered to tell me up to that point that she wasn't eating when she went to school. I held on to my optimism that things would be going well or better, although it might have been short-lived. I don't know. Optimism is one of my strong points. I thought things would gradually get better. The following week, Jessica's teacher was absent, so she called me, and she was upset. So later when Jessica gets home, she was brought home on the bus, and she and the bus driver were both very upset. Jessica had been spitting and cursing and would not calm down, and the driver told me that she was going to have to write it up. And I questioned myself, why am I doing all this? Why am I trying to make this work? It's never going to work. Why am I doing this? Initially Jessica had been so excited to start back to a program, and then everything had just gone wrong. And she was regressing. She was regressing in all kinds of ways. I was seeing regressive behavior. And then, I remembered why I'm doing all this. It's because I need to work to earn a living, to pay the bills, and she needed to be taken care of while I worked. She also needed to be, feel safe, be safe, and be happy. So while she was safe, she was far from happy. And so even though she'd only been going 3 days a week, she started saying she hoped she didn't have to go for very long. So we had hoped that we were going to go from 3 days to 5 days. And instead we were going from 3 days to her saying she didn't want to have to keep going for very long. I had to face that this might be the beginning of the end of us finding a place where Jessica could fit in. Not long after that, there was another change in the classroom, and Jessica's teacher took a different position within the school. And so Jessica got her third teacher. And so this would be her third teacher in just over 2 months. At this point, Jessica was having more negative behaviors at school than she ever had in all of her previous years of school. She'd never had this many negative behaviors at school. She had started hitting people at school and urinating in her clothes at home and at school. Also, we were experiencing ongoing issues with transportation. On her first day of school, I had actually heard the bus driver rudely yell at Jessica that she couldn't talk on her phone while she was on the bus. Because I was on the phone with Jessica, and I heard the driver yell that at Jessica while we were talking. So the bus driver says it's a rule so that they won't get distracted. If it's a rule, it's a rule. But was it really necessary to be that hateful to Jessica on her very first day on the bus? 3 weeks into the school, following a bad day in the classroom, Jessica acted up on the bus, and the driver had said she was going to ride her up. Months later, I was working, and I got a call from my mother around 4:30 p.m. And I can remember to this day where I was standing at the nurse's station, and she said, "Everything's okay." Knowing I'd be worried because she was calling me while I was working. She says, "We're on our way to pick Jessica up." Since Jessica usually gets dropped off at 3:30, I asked for clarification of what she meant by that. And she let me know that the bus driver had deliberately left Jessica at school. The driver had insisted that Jess get off the bus because she'd been screaming, and then the driver just left her there. Like, Jessica got off the bus, the driver left her sitting right there. They didn't leave her with an adult, a supervisor, an anybody. Thankfully, somebody who was familiar with Jess because she used to be in the classroom with her. Like a helper. Jessica called my sister to tell her what happened, and then she called my parents. The very nice lady said it was lucky for Jess that she'd been there, because usually she would have already been gone for the day, or Jessica would have been with nobody that even knew her. Equally disturbing from all of that was the fact that I never got a call from the school. Nobody ever called to talk to me about it. Nobody ever acknowledged it. Not when it happened, not ever. The next thing that happened was this ongoing discord with the same bus driver continued one day during a severe thunderstorm, okay? And it was severe. The driver pulled up in front of the house and impatiently blew the horn. I grabbed my umbrella, I ran out the door, And as soon as she opened the door, she snapped at me. We've had a lot of trouble out of Jessica on the way home. And I mean, it was storming so bad I could barely even hear what she said. But I definitely heard her say again they were going to write Jessica up. And as Jessica walks down the steps, she immediately said to me, "Mama, it's because of the storm." So I apologized to the driver and, quickly went back in to get out of the storm. I said to myself, why do I feel like I have to grovel to this bus driver to get her to keep coming to pick Jessica up? When in fact, I was extremely concerned about the obvious lack of understanding, even at school, about autism, and then on the bus about autism. So, even though I've been dealing with stuff like this her whole life, I hadn't become hardened to it. And these experiences crush me every time, because every time it's like that rejection, that initial rejection for the first time hits me again. And it's just so disheartening and discouraging. And part of it is every time I ask myself, is she really that different from every other special needs person that most people truly can't understand her? Typical for autism, Jess finds it really difficult to cope with even the slightest change. Yet the instability at school continued. Not long after the bus incident, the classroom helper left the classroom to be with the number 2 teacher that Jessica had. And then the number 3 teacher decided the classroom wasn't for him, so he left. So then teacher number 4 came in the picture. It just seemed hopeless. Within 4 months of starting an adult day program, she'd been through 4 teachers, a complete turnover of room helpers, and was frequently at odds with the bus staff. She was having constant anxiety, urinating in her clothes, calling me every day crying, multiple times a day. So Jessica began skipping school days to avoid the anxiety. We tried reducing her days from 3 to 2, hoping that she, could at least have 2 decent days and build back up to 3. But then she just told me she didn't want to go anymore. So we talked about going down to just 1 day a week, so she could still have the outlet, still socialize. But after the first day she went back, she took 2 weeks off and then went back 1 day, and I got the usual crying phone call. The time for me to give up had come. I had given it my all, but I was desperately needed at home by both of my girls. I went to my family and I expressed to them that I had made this decision to leave work to stay home with the girls because they both desperately needed it. I was real worried about it because, I'm leaving my nursing job. I'm leaving my main source of income, my only source of income at the time. But I felt like I had tried everything and there was nothing left for me to try. And I had lined up some part-time contract work that I could do from home. It was very minimal pay, but it was something. And I worried that, my family would think I shouldn't give up or that I was making the wrong decision. But in fact, my whole family was so extremely supportive. And it meant the world to me that, first of all, they agreed with my decision and they were supportive of my decision. And the fact that they didn't panic or act like it was ridiculous or, a real problem just really settled me a lot. It made me feel okay about my decision. So I don't think any of them really knew what a big deal it was to me for them to voice their support and understanding, because from within, I think we all have this sense of guilt and blame and whatever. And I just think all inside, I just kept feeling like such a failure, like it was my failure. And I was afraid when I had told people that I was going to quit that they would feel like I was making excuses. But they didn't. They didn't feel that way. They made me feel completely understood, and I was very empowered by their support, and I moved forward with my decision. I withdrew Jessica from the school, and my last week of work was the week of Thanksgiving in 2014. That's how we got to where we are now. We lived on a very tight budget, and but we were the happiest we'd ever been, and it was worth scrimping and doing without and barely scraping by to make that work. And it's the best decision I ever made. I never have regretted it, not for a day, ever. And since that day, Jessica has made tremendous progress in all areas of her life, especially communication, especially anxiety, with the help of anxiety medication also. She has a great quality of life now, and she continues to grow and develop. And anyway, it's just been fantastic. That's how we got where we are. There's more to my story. Another day, another story, other stuff about Hannah and an illness Hannah went through in the midst of all this. If y'all have questions and kind comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. I'm gonna get back in out of this heat and edit some videos. Bye, everybody.